Club Blue is located in a strip mall right near the corner of Evans Avenue and Carroll Road. That's where Wink News anchor Lindsay Sablon is live for us right now, leading our complete team coverage of this tragedy in Fort Myers. Lindsay, first of all, what can you tell us about the investigation itself?
Well, Chris and Lois, it's still a very fluid and active investigation, but we did hear from the interim police chief of Fort Myers Police Department just about 2.5 hours ago, and they tell us they do have 3 persons of interest in custody right now, but they also say they are still looking for others. Now, we know that they caught those 3 about 4 or 5 hours after the shooting in another scene just about 6 miles from where I'm standing. In the meantime, this scene outside of Club Blue, there are no longer any police here, but I want you to take a look at some of the video of a memorial that's starting to grow here. Just about an hour ago, 2 guys stopped by. They didn't know any of the victims that were shot in the shooting last night, but they tell me that enough is enough. One was actually working in downtown Fort Myers during ZombieCon in October of last year, and he said they're sick of it. Something needs to change. Take a look at the scene last night. This is around 12:30 when that shooting unfolded. 20 people were shot. Those victims range in age between 12 and 27. This was going on at Club Blue. It was an underage party. Originally, we were reporting that they were not checking IDs, but we just got off the phone with a spokesperson for Club Blue. They say they were in fact checking IDs. 2 people, 2 young children essentially, were killed. One a 14-year-old, one an 18-year-old. Fort Myers police are leading this investigation, but FDLE is out here now as well as the FBI. And they're not saying anything about a motive, but here is what the interim police chief is saying.
Well, the first thing I want to do is just get rid of any thought. This was not an act of terror. This was not a terrorist act. So if you've seen that, heard that, read that, whatever it is, you can put that out of your minds.
Again, they still are not saying what the motive is in this shooting. And here's a look at one of the 2 victims that was killed. 14 years old, Sean Achilles. He went to Royal Palm Elementary School. He was just about to enter 8th grade. The other one killed in the shooting, 18-year-old Stefan Strader. He was a senior at Lehigh High School, a standout on the basketball team. I want to bring in Wink News reporter Michelle Kingston, who actually had the opportunity to speak with the father of the 14-year-old Sean Achilles. Michelle.
I did. A lady tells me she heard at least 30 gunshots. Now I want to bring back in Wink News anchor Lindsay Sablon. She has more on the patient's conditions that are still in the hospital. Lindsay.
All right, thanks, Megan. I'm sure some very scary moments for those parents. Like Megan mentioned, there are still people in the hospital. 20 people were shot, 2 were killed, 18 were taken to the hospital. Right now, Lee Memorial tells us that 3 people are still in the hospital, 2 in critical condition, 1 in fair condition. Wink News reporter Andrew Scheinthal actually had the opportunity to speak with some of the victims' families and has more from Lee Memorial. Those 2 young men killed, but there was dozens of other young people here last night. When I first got on scene, I noticed that there were bullet holes in the building behind me and one adjacent to me. They're marked with evidence markers A, B, C, D, all the way up to S. So you can imagine what the people here were thinking as they ran for their lives last night. Wink News reporter Megan Contreras talked to some of the people here.
Just that I'm praying for the families. I can't imagine their heartbreak. As a mom, I cannot imagine their heartbreak.
2 powerful words, love wins, are written on a card in the middle of this growing memorial.
And it just had some prayers and blessings written on it for those who are mourning right now or who are worried and just in those waiting rooms. It's sad.
Although the crime scene tape is down,
News anchor Lindsay Sablon starts our team coverage at 6 with late-breaking details. Lindsay.
Well, Chris and Lois, we just got the information from the sheriff's office identifying those 3 people of interest that they've had in custody since about 5 o'clock this morning. The first is 19-year-old Derek Church. And what that press release says is police got a call around 1:15 this morning saying there was a suspicious car near a condo complex near Club Blue where the shooting happened. They tried to stop that car that Church was driving, police say, and that's when he took off. So officers followed after him. They say Church then tried to run over a sheriff's deputy, and that's when the deputy shot his gun, hitting Church in the stomach. They also say in that car was 19-year-old Demetrius O'Neill and 22-year-old Tage Battle. I want to be clear. These three are not facing charges for the shooting at Club Blue at this point. Right now, 19-year-old Church is facing aggravated assault on an officer and resisting and running from the scene, and the other two are facing resisting arrest without violence. Now, this shooting all unfolded around 12:30 last night. Like Chris and Lois mentioned, it was at a teen party here at Club Blue. We know 20 people were shot. 3 of those people are still in the hospital, 2 in critical condition. 2 of them were killed. 18-year-old Stefan Schroeder, he was a senior at Lehigh High School. He was a basketball standout. And just minutes ago, we were actually hearing from the attorney who is representing the Schroeder family. Listen in.
Neither. Stefan wasn't involved in it at all. There were 2 groups that had whatever beef they had, and somehow Stefan and others got caught in the crossfire between those 2 groups.
Now, police say this is not a terror-related incident, but they're not releasing a motive. Meanwhile, there was a 14-year-old, Sean Achilles, who was also shot. My colleague, Wink News reporter Michelle Kingston, had the opportunity to hear from Sean's dad.
Yeah, Lindsay, back to you.
So right now there's a message of hope as a church group gathers behind me to say prayers, but there are bullet holes scattered all over this building and a building adjacent to me. I want to bring in my colleague, Wink News reporter Megan Contreras. You actually talked to some of the people who were here last night.
Yeah, and they tell me that they heard at least 30 gunshots ring out last